welcome to NTP, question of the week. My name's Mark. This week we've had a question from an HGV driver and he wanted us to have a quick look through his records to make sure he was keeping adequate records of what he's been doing over the last 28 days. Now, as you're all aware, whether you're an HGV driver or whether you're a PSV driver, you have to keep records of the previous 28 days and the day in which you're working now, so 28 and a bit days. So he gave us his information and said, can we just check through it and make sure that he is keeping records that if DVSA pulled them over on the side of the road would be adequate. Now, August 2020, there was a slight amendment to the EU driver's hours regulations. There was 4 or 5 little tweaks that they made, but one of them was a subtle amendment to keeping complete records of all the work. So over this 28-day period, what do you need to keep? Well, you've got to keep all the information about any driving that you've done that falls in the scope of the EU driver's hours. Any breaks from driving, any rest periods, whether that's daily rest or whether it's weekly rest. Periods of availability, so periods where you're available for work, but you're not actually working. Other than that, you need to keep a record of any work that you've been doing that is non-driving, so loading vehicles, unloading vehicles, any yard duties, things like that. As well as what you do in your job as an HGV driver or a PSV driver, if you've got any other part-time work, that also has to form part of the records. So any work for a different employer within the industry, or even any work for an employer that's not within the vocational industry, all of that you've got to keep records of. So how are we going to keep these records? How is DVSA going to want to see them portrayed? Well, the regulations actually state that there are 3 ways of keeping the records. One is analogue record sheets. The second is digital tachograph printouts. And the third is tachograph manual entries. So let's have a look at each one independently, just very briefly. Analogue record sheets. Now, this is not necessarily referring to analogue tachograph discs. It is any written proof of what you have done. Obviously, anything that you write down is going to have to be in chronological order and it's going to have to include everything that you've done over at least that 28 days period, including work that you've done outside of the vocational industry. Digital tachograph printouts. You can take a printout from your tachograph and on that printout write out any activities that you have undertaken between finishing work with your last tachograph entry and starting work now. This will give you a manual record of all activities that have not been recorded on the tachograph. Or you can make a tachograph manual entry. When you start work, put your digital tachograph card in. That is the only time that you have got to be able to add in previous activities since you last ejected the tachograph card. Making these entries means that all of your work will be displayed on your tachograph downloads. Now, if you keep an analogue record sheet, which was the first one that we discussed, you don't need to put in manual entries onto the tachograph. And in all fairness, they can get a little bit complicated. So whichever way you choose to keep the records is entirely up to you, as long as you can show DVSA, Traffic Commissioner, or anybody else that wants to see them, I have 28 days proof, plus today, of what I have done. That's what you need to do. Any records that you have, if they are written, you need to keep them for 28 days, and then they're treated the same as analogue tachograph charts used to be, in which you've got to return them back to the operator within 42 days of first use. Hopefully that will help to explain what records that you need as an HGV driver or a PSV driver and stop you dipping into your pocket and handing over some money to DVSA on the side of the road. Hopefully you like the end of the video. Plenty of other videos coming covering all sorts of different topics. If you've got a question, then let us know. Give us a ring, email us, pop on our website. There's a chat facility. You can fill it in there. Whichever way you want to contact us, you can, and we can look at addressing it. Like and subscribe. If you've got any comments, drop them on below. Thanks very much. Take care. See you soon.